It's time for another episode. Crazy little thing called Lovdev. It's a comedy podcast. Today's episode is 101. Oh crap. Hello and welcome back to another episode where we get into the mind of Lovdev Bar Pega. How is everybody doing? Good. Glad to hear you well. Oh, so much has been going on, hasn't it, since the last podcast that we did. I forgot to mention I did a show with a comedian named Ricky Belshaw, two-hander. Do you know, I can't remember if I told you guys, but I did a joint show at the Leicester Comedy Festival. Called Pack and Spack. I know a lot of people didn't like the title of that show, but we don't care because we're rebels. So Ricky Belshaw is a disabled comedian. Me, obviously, being an Asian, we thought, let's call the show Pack and Spack. Would that bring people in? Yes, it did. We didn't have a full room, but we had probably about 5 or 6 seats free, which to me is probably full, really. It was a great show. It was the same show we did in Birmingham. Ricky went on first this time, and I got him a T-shirt, right? He was wearing the Pakistan cricket top. And I had a disabled T-shirt of the... So the disabled logo that's common in the UK is a guy in a wheelchair, and it's in blue and white. So I had that, and the guy on the chair actually falls off, and it says, oh crap. On the T-shirt it says that, so that's funny. Yeah, it was a good show. Leicester Comedy Festival is great. I haven't done it as many times as I normally do it. I did two one-liner shows, and I done another compilation show on the same night, and I haven't been back since, which is a real shame, because I really do enjoy doing the Leicester Comedy Festival. Yeah, so that was good. I've been gigging so much lately, guys. I've been gigging loads. Oh, it's my birthday as well. My birthday just went. I did a couple of things with the family. I decided not to work, because I learnt my lesson, man. Never work on your birthday. I did once, and let's just say it kind of got me into trouble. Not my fault, but there was an event that happened, and it happened to be on my birthday, and after that day, I don't even care if it's a bank holiday Monday. My birthday was on a Monday. I said, I'm not going to work, man. I say that, I'd probably still do half a shift. Yeah, so I didn't do that. I ended up going to... National Trust sites in the UK. So those of you, I know a lot of listeners who are not from the UK. National Trust is like it's not a charity, it's an organisation, and they own a lot of historical buildings in the UK, and they look after it and stuff. They got their own staff, they have volunteers. So I went to 2 places. One was called Packwood House, which is in Warwickshire. It's a lovely old cottage which housed one of the richest men from Birmingham. He used to own a steel company or something, and his house was quite unique. Like, he travelled the world a lot, and he bought a lot of stuff back from different parts of the world, and it's all like scattered around the house. So that was interesting. And then we went to another property called Baddesley Clinton. Baddesley Clinton, I think it's pronounced, and it's one of the few houses, a moat house, so it has water surrounding it, left in the UK. Very interesting place as well, and they were both quite close to each other, which was good. So between the 2 houses, there was less than a 5-minute drive. So Baddesley Clinton was the most interesting one I found. So years ago, right, medieval times, it housed like some monks, I think they were, or priests. They were Catholics, yeah. Back in the days, I think it was Queen Victoria. She wanted to get rid of all the Catholics in the UK. So she sent out priest killers. This is a thing. And they basically went all over the UK to look for Catholic priests to kill them. And Baddesley Clinton housed 8 priests, right? And they had to go into the sewer They had to go underneath the house where it's full of muck, and they had to stay there because they actually got raided, and they climbed down this rope, and then they got down to the bottom, and somebody bricked up the top of it to make it look like there's no trap door or anything, and they got away, man. They got away with it. They wasn't found. They came back out, but because of the risk of getting caught again, they decided to leave, and they left. Interesting place, and apparently there was a murder in that Baddesley Clinton as well. So the guy who owned Baddesley Clinton, he caught another guy touching a woman, right? And he didn't like it, so he killed the guy. And then he got sent to court, like some kind of religious court, and he pleaded not to be sentenced, otherwise he will never reach heaven. And he asked to be buried vertically. When he died, he got all his wishes, right? He paid off the frigging murder, and then he asked to be buried vertically so he had more chance of reaching up to heaven. Yeah. I mean, the UK is an interesting place. I always used to think it's boring. It's not. England has got so much history, and it's got some really hidden gems that you never know about. So if you don't know about the National Trust site, just Google National Trust, and it should come up, and then it'll have all the places you can go. I mean, a family pass is what? It's 130 quid, I think, for a family of 4, and you can get to go into all of these places for the year. And I think that's actually a good bargain, because normally, if you take a family with you, say a family of 4, yeah, 2 adults and 2 kids, you're looking at paying around about 50 to 60 quid just for one visit. So, yeah, absolutely worth the money. Already plugging stuff, not even doing an advert. We'll keep that one quiet. You might hear one in a bit. But, yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing, really. There are other stuff I've been doing. Before I mention all that, why don't we go and head into a Ask the UK? I'm just flicking through my album. It's an album of comedians featuring photographs taken by Steve Best. Steve Best used to be a comedian, but now he's a photographer, and he takes some stunning pictures of comics from all over the UK and international. He's got pictures of Mike Gunn. He's got pictures of Jonathan Ross, Joe Clawfield, Catherine Ryan, Andy Askins, Dom Biswas, Eddie Peptone, Deliso Chaponda, Rick Allen, Rich Hall, Marlon Davis, Imran Yusuf, Andrew Bird, the list goes on, even Milton Jones. These are like backstage photos in a unique 500-page, I think it's 500, I'd have to count it right to the end, because I've got the book. It's 235 pages of photographs of comedians that you've never seen before. Very unique. Not only is he a photographer, he's a personal photographer. I've had my headshots taken by Steve. Go check out his book. Just Google Steve Best. It's like a comedy Bible, but just full of pictures and that without the words. You make up your own story when you look at the pictures. It's a fantastic book. Grab them while you can. Disclaimer: that advert you just listened to, right? And I don't know where that came from, I'll be honest. Yeah, the advert mentioned Jonathan Ross in the photo album. He's not in the album. I don't know why that person said that, because he's had a good look through the book, and he said, "Oh, I've just made a mistake." He said, "I panicked and just said a load of names." But all the names he mentioned are in that book, you know. But Jonathan Ross isn't in it yet. He probably will be one day. You can't get the staff these days, can you? Talking about adverts, you know the people who read terms and conditions? I think they're just failed rappers. Because they say it really fast, don't they? Anyway, talking about fast, shall we do Ask the UK? Because that's what we was meant to be doing. Here we go, Ask the UK. Today's question is by Fix It Monkey. Alright, and he says, would you use a hotel kettle? Would I use a hotel kettle? I have done. What a random question. But then it depends. Like, I always look inside the kettle, see how much lime scale there is on it. And yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know, man. I think once I remember I was at a hotel, right, and this is true. Yeah, I was in the hotel, and I had a bit of a hangover, right, the next day, and I thought what I grabbed was a bottle of water, and I started pouring it into this kettle, right. And I boiled it, and I could smell it, like it smelled weird. And I thought, oh God, this kettle's probably off, innit? Or something like that. And then I tried to make a cup of tea, yeah. And then I realised I accidentally poured in vodka into the kettle. I'm absolutely nuts. No, don't put me... I mean, if anything, it probably cleaned out the kettle, innit? The alcohol probably cleaned it. Has anyone ever done that? I'm absolutely mad, innit? Yeah, so would I use it? Probably. If it looked clean enough, I would still use the kettle. But I'd rather, like, you don't get enough... One thing I noticed with hotels, you don't get enough sachets, do you? So they'll give you, like, 2 tea bags, yeah. They'll give you 2 coffees and a little bit of milk, right? And that's it. And I drink way more than that. So normally I bring my own little sachet. You know, the coffee sachet things. I'll take one of my own. And just in case, you know what I mean, as backup. Whenever we go on holiday, we always take our own tea or coffee. That's what we do. I want to see what he says. He says, I was discussing it with my work colleague about if they would use the kettle in their hotel room. There were lots of different opinions ranging from boiled water is fine, which is true. People use it to wash their underwear. Is that true? Oh, God. Could you imagine if you opened your kettle and you found some Y-fronts in it? You'd be absolutely devastated in it. Do people actually use kettle water to wash their clothes in a hotel? Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. They probably do. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because you ain't going to have a washing machine in a hotel room, are you? You said I was always in the depends on the quality of the hotel and how new the kettle is. Yeah, that's what I said. Like, it depends on... It does depend on the hotel, and if you're staying in a B&B, you're not really going to use one, are you? Because everyone knows a B&B is like, unless it's a really looked after one, you know, you'll probably use it then. But if it's one of them shabby B&Bs that you get, where people just go there to have fun, shall we say, you're not going to use the kettle in it. So that was my thoughts. I want to. Other people have said, of course I have many times. People need to get out of the hermetically sealed bubbles and live in a bit. Yeah, me and my non-work executive associates disagree with this statement. My sexual CEO, on the other hand, hates it when I bring work home. I think they were just trying to be funny. That wasn't even useful. But there we go. That was Ask the UK question. So I was at the gig the other night, right? I've got a question for you guys. Not that you can answer it, but I just need to know. So I was at this gig, right? And it was great. It was fun. And afterwards, this bloke said to me, he said, oh, I'm in a WhatsApp group called Dad Jokes. I was like, all right. And he said, you know your eyebrow joke? I was like, yeah. He goes, that's brilliant. He said, I've put it on the group. And I was like, okay. Now, I didn't know how to take it. Like, it's a very nice compliment, isn't it? Somebody putting your joke or sharing a joke that you've said on stage with their friends. You think, you know what? That's nice, man. That shows that that person did like my set and he did like some of my jokes and he shared it with his group. But then I think, because of the copyright, would people turn that into a meme? Because I've had comedian friends who have done that. They've said a joke, right? And someone's turned it into a meme and start sharing it, but they don't tag the person in to say, this is the guy who wrote it. So everyone thinks, oh, they wrote this joke. What a brilliant joke. And all the credit doesn't go to the comedian who actually wrote it. I think that's my only thing about it. I don't know, man. I've had it a few times. It happened in Manchester as well, a couple of years ago. I was at a gig and this bloke, he wrote down nearly half of my set on his phone. And he said, I'm sharing it with my mates. That was the first time I had somebody ever say that to me. And you think, okay, like, I appreciate that. And he did say, oh, do you mind if I share it? And obviously I said, no, I don't. But really, you do mind. But you do and you don't. You know what I mean? Like, if I can get followers from the back of it, they said to me, oh, mate, I'm going to follow you. Or I'm going to get my mates to follow you. I think you're funny. Or blah, blah, blah. I would appreciate that more, I reckon. Unless it's just the one joke. Then I don't mind, innit? But if it was your whole set, you'd be annoyed. Because then somebody out there would end up doing your set. Actually, funny enough, at that gig, I reckon a few of the people in the audience have seen me before, right? And I was doing my material and they were shouting out the punchlines. Not all the time, but there was 2 occasions where somebody would shout something out and I thought, you guys have watched my video. You've seen me do this and now you think you're funny by saying my punchlines. And that didn't help, but I think I addressed it really well because the promoter was like, mate, the way you dealt with that was just like proper pro. And I was like, yeah, thanks. But he's right though, do you know what I mean? Like, when you're in that situation, you got to kind of deal with it differently. Like, I didn't have a go at the people in the room, but, you know, I just kind of played along with it. And it made it more funnier, I think, anyway. You know. I didn't say, oh, you've seen me before, didn't you? Because then that just kind of ruins the vibe. And then everyone thinks, oh, they're just, you know, spoiling the night, the audience member is. And I don't really want that. Unless they're being a real idiot, then it's different. Talking about idiots, shall we do a no stupid question? Let's get this podcast over and done with. Right, today's no stupid question has been posted by old_addictiveness on the no stupid questions forum on Reddit as usual. And I always say that because I gotta plug it in case Reddit says, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't just do no stupid questions and not mention us." Not that they even know I do this, but oh well. Now, funny enough, I was looking for a question, right? And this question is very interesting because before I read it, I heard my son in the back. I can hear him. He's in the other room. And I heard him just shout out, "Oh my God, stupid update. Why is there always an update?" Now, he's regarding his phone. He's talking about his mobile phone. And he's absolutely addicted to his mobile. You can't get off. Like, I need to find a way to get him off it. He's on TikTok, right? As you know, he's autistic, so he's on TikTok. And he makes videos, like the really weird videos, to be honest. I don't get it. And he's got like 9,000 followers. 9,000 followers. I've got 400 and something. I don't even think I've got that much. I'm probably making that number up. Let's just say I've got less than 500 people following me, which is shocking. Well, I don't really post much on there, but he's posting all the time. Like, that's all he does. Is just, he's always staring at his phone, and it's a bit disturbing. Like, he's a child. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, like, do what kids do. I don't know, man. It's really this person has asked the question: are you also suffering from phone addiction? I'm not, personally. I don't think I am. I use my phone. Yeah, I'll look at it now and again. But I'm not always on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, people use phones now and they don't communicate with each other. You'll see this. If you're in a queue somewhere, you know, people will most likely pull out their mobile phone and scroll through their social media. They don't engage with other people in the queue until they get to the counter or whatever it is they're doing. You know, they could be shopping, walking around, looking at their phone. Maybe shopping list is on the phone. I don't know, but I think as a society, yeah, we're all addicted to mobile phones. It's like it's taken over the world. I remember when I was a kid, I was always out playing out. But now, like, when I see kids, they're just on devices, aren't they? You know, the mobiles, the Switch, tablets and stuff like that. And you think, this is the new generation. Like, technology, it's good, but it's taking over our minds. So, yeah, suffering from phone addiction. I mean, I remember I used to be on my mobile a lot in bed before I go to sleep, and that doesn't help. I think the best thing is, okay, I use my phone as an alarm, but keep your phone away from your bedside table or something. Put it in somewhere near the windowsill or on your cupboard where your clothes are or something. You know, just to keep it away from you getting up and looking in your phone. That's proper addiction, that is. Some people have put, no, I rarely use my phone. As for my tablet, I have tons of books on it, so I use it quite often. Not sure if that makes me an addict or just a reader. That's a very good answer, I think. I think if you're reading, yeah, it's different because, you know, it's not actually a mobile phone. I think it's when you start looking into other people's lives, that's when it becomes an addiction. TikTok is getting out of hand, I reckon. You see some of the videos on there. If I was a woman, right, I reckon I'll be a good-looking woman. People would just I think people would just follow me. I'd have a lot more followers. I noticed some of the people on TikTok that, like, especially women, they'd put up like a 10-second video and they get like thousands of views on it. Only because they're good-looking women. Do you know what I mean? And that's all they do. Loads of 10-second videos, and that's how they get their followers. I don't know, man. I think TikTok's getting out of hand. And some of the stuff you see on there, like the pranks, and, you know, you watch it and you think, yeah, all right, it's funny the first couple of times. But when they keep doing the same thing, you think, you know, it's just, I don't know, man. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. If you do suffer from phone addiction, I would suggest just delete all your apps for a week. Yeah. Keep everything essential that you need, like your emails and that. That's fair enough. But just try it. I did it and I felt great, man. You notice the world more. You know what I mean? Like, you go out more and there's other things to do, and communication is key, man. I know, like I mentioned on my birthday, I went to those National Trust sites and I felt like an old man. It's what old people do. I was speaking to some of the volunteers and they were lovely, man. They were really nice. And I said to my wife afterwards, said, you know those people that were speaking to us and telling us the history of the place? I said, they're all volunteers, you know. They don't get paid to do this. I said, that's really nice. Like, you know, they go out. They haven't got a lot in life. They've retired or whatever, and they want something to do. And they're not standing there looking through their phone. They're just greeting people that come into certain parts of the building, and they'll tell you the history about it. And I really listen to that, you know. I really respect that, man. I hope I'm like that one day. I'll do that on my own house, edit, when it becomes a museum. I'll just greet people in and tell them the history of where I used to live. Now I live in a mansion. That would be the day, innit? That's when I've made it in comedy. Mobile cameras are alright, aren't they? To take photos and stuff. They're a bit better these days, but you can't beat a camcorder. Honestly, camcorders are fantastic. I've got a Panasonic one. Panasonic have been going for years, right? This one is a HC VX1. It's a 4K camera. It's got a 90 zoom on it. You can record family moments, special occasion. It's great for dim lighting. It's even better outside, obviously, because there's more light. But there's fantastic, man. If you want to catch your little family moments, get yourself a camcorder. They're fantastic, man. I don't know why I didn't buy one ages ago. Check them out, Panasonic.com. Right, it's time for the weird news story. Yay! I can finally wrap up this episode. Today's weird news story comes all the way from England. Yay! About time we did one in the UK. I think it's the UK. I hope it is. Anyway, I saw the title. I said, this is it. This is what people want to listen to. And here is the headline. These Warwick students woke up to find an actual poo taped to their front door. So, here is the story all the way of the poo in Warwickshire. On Friday, the 17th of February, 3 days before my birthday, a group of unsuspecting Warwick students woke up to find that a poo has been taped to their front door of their Leamington Spa home. Well, Leamington's a really posh place. Like, Leamington Spa is it's Royal Leamington Spa, actually. Yeah, the Queen owns it. Well, the King owns it now. Yeah, I was quite surprised that someone in Leamington had the effort to do that. Normally they would post it. Maybe they never had a post box. So, the student who found the feces was running out of his house in the early morning when he encountered the poo. Unfortunately, for this student, he felt the poo before he saw it. The student told the Warwick Tab, I was leaving my house and went to slam the door, and when I did, my fingers sunk into something soft and sludgy, which startled me. For some reason, I assumed it was peanut butter. Oh, mate. But on closer inspection, I realised it was a poo. He did not confirm how he came to realise that the poo was not in fact peanut butter. I hope he didn't taste it. One would hope this discovery was not made by a taste test. That's exactly what I said. He described his discovery as nothing short of traumatic. I bet it was, man. My flight or flight kicked in and I let out a primal shriek of disgust. I tried desperately to unlock my door with the other hand before running inside and dumping half a bottle of soap on the soiled hands while quivering and gagging. The student clarified that the poo was not warm at the time of its discovery, leading him to believe that this was a peculiar gift was left much earlier in the night. He was in a rush, so he fled the scene. The landlord of the property, who was coming over anyway, was the second on the scene. It's like a proper crime, isn't it? She cleared the evidence and delivered the news of the attack to other members of the house. The facial attack stirred up some anxiety among the house inhabitants. One student expressed concern that the attack may have been targeted. They said it seems a bit too extreme and a bit too calculated for a random attack. I'm more paranoid about the door being properly locked now. Like the poo's going to get in all the hinges. When I inquired if they had any suspicion regarding who may have been targeting them, they were unsure. I don't think any of us have any enemies, at least no enemies, that would go to these lengths. The incident unsurprisingly raised a lot of questions. Was it human? And if so, did the culprit produce the poo by the door or do it elsewhere and transport it? It seems like a lot of effort. Another noted that the quality of the culprit's poo taping efforts was somewhat subpar, not the work of a serial dog poo attacker. I can't help but wonder if they've done this before. The shoddy tape work would suggest that this was their first time adhering a poo to a door. Luckily for these students, there is a CCTV camera in operation near the entrance to their house. With any luck, the defecating culprit may be caught. The students say the police are currently investigating this facial matter. There's a picture of it, right? It doesn't look like they've got a letterbox, which is probably why he's taped it to the door. So it's an actual poo, right, on top of the door handle. That must have been deliberate. Oh my god, what a story! Right, there we go. That's the kind of weird news we have in the UK. Students, there's probably one of the students couldn't get back in it after a night out, decided to do a poo on the door. Why couldn't they just knock like normal people? I don't know. There we go. That was today's weird news story, and that was today's podcast. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks, or maybe next week. Who knows? See you then.